Good morning.
Laughing at that, but I feel close enough to you that I can joke with you like that.
No, it's fine. If you don't laugh at this stuff, it's gonna bury you.
Oh my Lord, my Lord.
But we're blessed here in Beaumont because we still have that support.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Every day, I wake up. I'm like, I'm blessed to serve a community like Beaumont. Not that I'm not.
Honestly, Chief, what's different about you guys is you guys are raising your family here, and no different than a lot of our leaders, that don't just work here but they live here. It means a lot to people. It really does. It does to me, at least. I guess I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. There's a lot of talk out there, and I think people just they're following the media stories and they don't know their police departments.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some of them need fixed. We can't argue with that.
Sure.
But today, I know we'll be on a much more positive note.
Absolutely.
So that'll be good.
Yep, that'll be great. Linda, where's Bill? Do you have him chained to the corner?
Yes, I do. He's in the other room. I'm working in my office at home, so.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still struggling, and we're still being very careful with him.
All right, yeah, be careful.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm working at LA School Police.
Morning, Amy.
I haven't done anything yet.
Good morning. How's everybody?
Good.
Good.
Morning from your other Amy too.
Where's your picture, Amy? Come on, did you not do?
Oh, y'all don't want to see me this morning.
Hey, Amy. For Amy Hare, you got some gnarly feedback.
Oh.
It's a lot of static when you speak.
I'll just mute myself.
Okay. Anybody else picking that up or no?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was accurate.
Oh, looky there, Todd.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're actually on the road through Arizona right now.
Sweet.
I know. Would you like to see the background?
The real background.
You're rocking the Bronco shirt, Todd. My husband would love it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Uh-huh. We are going to have a football season.
Sure. There we are. There's Arizona.
Nice.
I'll be traveling there on Sunday.
We'll save some cactus for you.
Okay. We're going to self-quarantine in Arizona for a week. Different walls.
Well, if you look out there, there's plenty of room to quarantine. You'll be just fine.
Are you headed to Texas?
Meet up with family and bring my mother-in-law back for a few weeks. So she can get out of Austin where COVID's exploding right now.
Good.
Let's see. putting the Beaumont Avenue reconstruction picture back in my background. It's one of my favorite pictures. I see Mr. Rader there. Alan, how are you? Oh, there's Miss Rader too.
We come as a pair sometimes.
I feel like we're on the Hollywood Squares.
Okay, we're going to get started in just a moment here. I just wanted to give everybody just a couple of minutes to join us here. Okay, we've got some people coming in still. I'm a new face for the chamber, so I just wanted to quickly introduce myself before we begin. I'm Sterling Fenn. I'm the media and event coordinator here at the chamber. So it's very nice to see all of your faces this morning and for everybody to be here. So thank you very much. Okay, so we will officially begin. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being part of this. We at the Beaumont Chamber want to interact with our community and let each of you know that we are here to support you and to bring our community together. And so I want to thank everybody for attending this. It's wonderful that we have technology that allows us to gather together even when circumstances wouldn't permit it. So thank you for being here. Again, I'm Sterling. I'm the media and event coordinator here at the chamber. I am new and it is a pleasure to be here. It's been so much fun to meet everybody and to get to know the community and the businesses here. So thank you. It has been absolutely wonderful. We have our final speaker joining us here. Okay. So again, thank you very much for being here. Today we will be hearing from Jeff Hewitt, our county supervisor. We will be hearing from our police chief, Thuiliez, who is here. Thank you very much. And we will also later be hearing from Todd Parton as well. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, please just use the chat function and direct it to the speaker that you'd like, even if it's later in the meeting. And we will be able to look through those and where appropriate, allow the speakers opportunities to answer questions should they choose, okay? So thank you so much for being here. We are going to ask Sean to speak with us first. And so I am going to ask you to spotlight.
Okay. Can you all hear me okay? Little thumbs up from Sterling or? All right, perfect. Well, I'd like to start off by thanking the chamber and our participants and our listeners. It's just an extraordinary time in, globally and nationally through the state, and of course, even at the local level. And what I'd like to just start off with is assuring everybody that your police officers have been hard at work every single day answering our calls for service. Each and every one, they may have been handled a little differently with this pandemic. Some of them we asked to report online or in other fashion. So the service delivery may look a little different, but be assured they're out there working hard for you. Some of the other things we've been doing amidst the coronavirus was obviously, as people had to either shelter in place or we couldn't do the traditional high school graduations, we've been partnering with businesses from the early on, even going back to March, determining which businesses could be declared essential, and then keeping them open, and then the other ones working with them to gain compliance. We were very sensitive to just the nature of the extreme orders, but trying to work within the law. But, as we do in Beaumont, it's a partnership. And so we help many of businesses stay open or modify or work around the parameters to be declared essential. And some of the other things we started doing, obviously, as kids were locked down, they couldn't have traditional birthday parties. I think you saw the police and the firefighters going to birthday parties and taking pictures with the kids. And then, of course, those started ramping up beyond what our capabilities were. And so we got a little more creative with our tech because then people wanted us to go for their college graduations or grandma's 90th birthday, and each and every one of those is important, but there's only so many of us to go around. But we were able to achieve that through technology. We partnered with our superintendent in our school district to give them the very best drive-through high school graduation ceremony that we could. It went off great. We partnered with a group of people that wanted to demonstrate their support for George Floyd and racial equity. And so we had that march in May that went from the Beaumont Sports Park to downtown and back to the sports park. And everybody did a fantastic job displaying their values peacefully. And then the last thing, something that I wanted to do for some time and now seems to be the perfect time, and is I'm starting a Chiefs Advisory Board. And so that will consist of somewhere between 7 and 12 members of the public that will represent various stakeholder groups through our school district, our faith-based, the chamber, have a small business represented, a large business represented. I have asked that the Walmart manager certainly has one of the larger businesses participate, but we'll also have different services groups from the county. And what this group's going to do is I'll meet with them more than likely bi-monthly. It's a two-way communication. I want to talk about our policies and the direction of the organization to this very experienced group. And then they'll talk to me about concerns that they're picking up that maybe my officers are that aren't, your police officers are in. They work with the chamber and the school district and each community in this city, but we may not pick up certain things. And so this will be person's opportunities to meet with me directly. I'll get that direct feedback. I'll give them feedback, and then we'll come to a consensus on certain elements of the police department. It'll be a really exciting endeavor. I'm looking forward to that enhanced relationship. And so look for that. I expect I'll have the application and the guidelines out next week. So if you know of somebody that can fit into the criteria, and the criteria will be posted, that you think would be a benefit, ask them to apply. We will be screening for particular reasons. It's certainly not it's not an advocacy group, but it's just another instrument for me to stay connected to various stakeholders. And so that's my opening, and I'll turn it back to Sterling.
Thank you, Chief. We are so grateful for the opportunity to hear from you and for your support in the community. We have seen so many wonderful things from you recently and from the police department, and we are so grateful for them here in Beaumont. If you were ready, our county supervisor, Jeff Hewitt, if you are ready to speak to us. Okay, let me do this for you. Just a moment.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Yeah, so sorry about the terrible lighting and everything. In fact, I just got, computers and I don't get along. So you'd think after all the Zoom meetings I've been on, I'd be able to get on here, but it's a pleasure to have a chance to speak before the chamber today. It's always a pleasure to follow up Sean, who laid out a lot of the issues that I will be covering too. I have not spoke before the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce in quite some time, certainly since we've had COVID invade our lives in every way. There have been so many different challenges that from what I understand and talking to older retired electeds, they said, boy, I'm really glad I'm not in elected office right now. Almost weekly, we have had new challenges coming to the county. At first, we had this all started back in the end of January when that plane full of diplomats from Wuhan, China was redirected to land at March Air Reserve Base. And at that time, our own Dr. Kaiser, who has been vilified and considered a hero by several different people, made a very good call to have a quarantine on those 195. And he actually overrode the federal government, which they went ahead and followed the next day. That we thought was good. It wasn't going to really come up and approach us much, but then about a month later, it really got serious. And what we saw happen in Northern Italy and in New York, the county wanted to go ahead and make sure that under no circumstances would we want to have people dying in the hallways of our hospitals because there weren't enough rooms and there weren't enough ventilators and such. So it really was a challenge from day one. I was really proud of our county public health staff and RUHS and how everybody got right in there. Bruce Parton with the EMD, and they built it up to handle a surge that we thought was going to come. Well, it didn't come in the degree that we thought. We were ready, but as we found out more and more about the virus was somewhat more contagious in some ways. It was much like the flu in its contagiousness, but its mortality rate had been somewhat, for whatever reason, from different models and stuff, had been blown up a little bit by a factor of 10 or more. And so when the governor gave his lockdown orders in March, everybody pretty much was shut down at home except for what was considered essential businesses. So here we are, after 3 months of lockdown, we are opening up again. We do see a rise in cases. The cases themselves are not the important number. The important numbers, certainly the most important, are fatalities, but also hospitalizations. And we have seen an expected rise as people get out and engage in their lifetime again. We don't have youth sports yet. We don't have big concert venues or anything like that, but we do have, businesses, even bars and gymnasiums and nail salons and barbershops and stuff opening up with practicing certain protocol. And I think that I think some of that has been working very well. I think most people want to go into business that they feel safe in. There are several people that feel that this is greatly overblown. And what I would ask about from all of those people is this isn't a matter of I'm right or you're right. When you're talking about science, and especially science of a fairly unknown virus, as we're getting to know more and more, I would ask all of you to show respect. You know, I particularly have not been a big mask advocate. There's good science on both sides. However, you know, the governor has made it somewhat mandatory, and I think that again, we need to save our fights for maybe bigger things or whatever down the line. And I think that showing respect, you know, I carry a mask around no matter where I am, and if I'm going to go into a business, I respect that businesses, especially if they require a mask. And I think that we need to just show a little bit of respect and not, you know, twist the knife or now there are people that can't wear masks, and they certainly shouldn't be forced to. But I think the few that actually can't, we should accommodate them in a way that is fair to all. Now, this has changed a little bit since Monday. I found out that one of my staff members was positive, somebody that I was around all the time. So we went, my entire staff and the entire 5th floor over the county went out and got tested. And so far, thank goodness, no one else on the staff has tested positive. So the reason for the protocol is that, and I will be here in my bunker for another 5 days until July 3rd, because again, the protocol is that you are supposed to quarantine for 14 days after having direct contact with someone who was a known positive case. And so if I don't show any if I don't show any symptoms, which I haven't shown any symptoms ever, but if I don't show any symptoms until July 3rd, then I will get a free bill of health and I could go fly or do anything. So these are things, look, it's there, it's everywhere. The really important part is those people that are more susceptible to it, not just the elderly, but a lot of us with underlying health problems. If anything, if you feel that, you should take every precaution as much as possible. But, you know, the economy is starting to open up again. I don't believe we can go backwards. It took quite a hit. It's never been a fight between lives or profits or this or that, like some people would characterize it. It's lives against lives. And we've had a lot of, there's been a lot of destruction to things that aren't put up on a daily count. You know, we do get our daily confirmed cases, and we do get our daily addition of deaths. Again, the good news is we had a climbing of the hospitalizations, not so much the death count, but the hospitalizations. Yesterday, we actually had a small fall in that. So again, these are expected. From what it's looking, we will have around middle July, we should have the data from our county antibody testing study, which will be one of the best ones in the world at this time, using the only FDA approved serum gathering technique. It is also using the same marketing research company that LA used and USC used in their antibody study, so that these will all be random. We will actually be testing school-aged children too. This is one of the first to do that. And so we'll get a much better idea of what the prevalence is and what the actual mortality rate is. And from all these other studies, it's coming out that, and the CDC just said that as many as 20 million people in the United States have been exposed to it instead of 2 million, a factor of 10, and that the mortality rate is much closer to between 0.1 and 0.3%, which coincidentally is in the same range as another very, very contagious disease, the flu. So it is a horrible disease. It's a serious disease. Again, my staff member that has it, he's having a tough time. He's not that old, but we think he'll get over it. And just show some caution and mainly show respect. you know, we don't have to kill the economy, but we don't have to say I'm right and you're wrong, whether it's over masks or opening up again. We all live in the same neighborhoods and we all, go to work the same. And, in addition to that, we've got that added gasoline on the fire that came about because of George Floyd's death, which was the straw on the camel's back. And having people been locked in for so many actually days and months, it really it turned out to be a tinderbox. And my hat's off to Chief Thuiliez and certainly Sheriff Bianco and the way that we've handled this. We will be having, like I think what the chief just said about we will be having an advisory committee that each supervisor picks 2 or 3 people to help look over the policies of the sheriff. And then also in my own district, I'm getting together members of the African American community who are going to work on coming up with some recommendations on some things that I will listen to. If there are things that I can put into policy that will actually have some good results and not just be, trying to make us feel good. Maybe solve some of these problems. It's never going to eradicate bad seeds in any profession. And, public safety is no exception that way. But hopefully we'll see as we come out of this, we'll see some really good things. On the county level, we just passed our budget. The budget is, it doesn't take any cuts from the sheriff, and it actually doesn't take any cuts from DPSS. And also, I believe the DA, because there's a backlog, they and the public defenders too, are going to have a little bit extra to catch up on all the backlog because the courts have been, closed for several months. So we're looking at $100 million deficit over the next year. We will be, we don't want to get hooked on the one-time COVID money, and we will be making some, fundamental changes in the way we do things. We just passed something Tuesday also about getting rid of so many unfilled funded positions and the unfilled positions so that we make our county leaner and deliver the services better that you guys all require. So that's it in a nutshell right now. And again, when it's question time, I will, honor those two. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is wonderful to hear how our county is doing. I think you've addressed a lot of concerns that have been on our minds and things that we have been wondering about and thinking about. We will get to questions in a little bit. We will first hear from our city manager, Todd Parton, if he is available.
There we go. Thank you. Can y'all hear me? Am I coming through? Okay, excellent. Well, good morning. Hope everybody is having a healthy Friday morning. I wore my best Denver Broncos gear just for everybody. So I did dress up. Councilman Laura, just for you, sir. So much has been said this morning. The seriousness of where we are right now, what we've been dealing with, is really, hopefully, once in a generation. Hopefully nobody faces this issue in the future. We are making some pretty aggressive steps in cooperation with the county, with the state, with all of our other partners to address those things. Chief Thuiliez has been amazing in leadership in our community, so greatly appreciate him, and he's a wonderful asset for us. It should be noted, if you look at the COVID trends in Riverside County, District 5, which is Supervisor Hewitt's district, has been doing better with regard to COVID cases and some of the fallout from the health implications of that. So I don't think that's a coincidence at all. And I think a lot of policies, a lot of work has gone into making that happen. And everybody in the community working together to keep everyone safe has been critical to that. So I do have a couple data points I'd like to run through with everybody if we're ready. I'm sending everybody some virtual coffee right now, so take a sip and we'll dive right in. You ready? Okay. So one of the things that we've been working on is to look at the economic impacts of the COVID pandemic. I'm trying to understand how deep that impact goes and looking at what we might need to do in terms of preparing fiscally. So a couple things that we've dealt with, our budget's adopted. Our general fund took about a $2.5 million hit this year from last year, and due primarily to a downfall in sales tax revenues, plant development activity, which affects all of our fees. So that's a significant impact that we felt. So even though we've had some positive growth and less sustained growth, the net effect overall is negative significantly. We just got the Q1 sales tax results in. They are down 9% for our community. That's important to note because that only represents about the first 2 weeks of the COVID pandemic. So Q2 is a number that will really be indicative of what the impact has been, what the bottom is. That will take the last few months where we've actually had the COVID impacts directly felt. The forecast is that those sales tax revenues could be down as much as 40% in terms of locally generated sales tax. That complies with some survey work we've done with our local business community, where about 33% said that they were shut down during the height of the pandemic and are now working to reopen. Out of the 67%, probably about half of those saw a loss in terms of their customer base or reduced customer activity at their businesses, which isn't surprising. One benefit, though, to all this is that there will be an offset at the county pool level. And the issue there is that people have changed their buying habits during this process. And so there's more people buying online and looking at shipping through Amazon, things like that. So at the end of the day, what we're forecasting moving on into next year is about a 12 to 15% reduction in sales tax, which is a much more significant loss of brick and mortar at the street level, but higher impact with regard to online sales. One of the things that council wanted to do is to try to find a way to help support our business and to try to help businesses figure out good ways to reopen in a sustainable and safe way. So City Council launched a program called the Beaumont Back to Business program. The tangible product of that effort is a webpage on the city's website. It's the Beaumont Back to Business webpage. That's got some critical information. It's got information with regard to where we are with the state and the county openings. It's got links to guidelines. It's got a toolkit that provides access for businesses to be able to locate sources and resources that they need for financial support or other support. In addition to this effort, we conducted a series of surveys. So we talked to our businesses. We did an online survey of our businesses. We talked to our citizens to get an idea about how they feel about getting back to normal, the things that they need to see in their business environments to make them feel comfortable to go back out and shop and do business, and to look at the types of things that they're looking forward to doing. And then we talked to labor. We've identified 12 active labor groups that represent employees in the city of Beaumont. We talked to all of them, and we got their feedback on what their employees can see and recommendations that they have with regard to compliance with CDC and social distancing in the workplace. So all that information is pulled together. We are finalizing a final report that will be posted on the city's website probably within the next week, so we get all that information together. We did present that to City Council at their last meeting, and there is a staff report. If you go to online the city's website, you can find a link to that meeting and to the agenda. You can see the report and some of the survey tables that represent the data that we got. The city is critical that we maintain a balanced budget and stay physically sustainable. So we're implementing long-range forecast models. We've always been doing that, but we're looking at extended recession depressionary cycles. If our estimates are correct, if we get a depression, we're talking about another $4 million impact to the general fund alone. So if you look at general fund in context, we cut about 15% of the general fund this year. You're talking about at $4 million, another 30% cut in the general fund. So that would have a significant effect on the city's abilities to maintain continued services. The city has worked continuously through the pandemic. We've had virtual city hall setups. We've been handling business online. We've got remote building inspections going. We've got digital submission building plans. We have setups for people to be able to pay bills online or over the phone. So we've been working through that process. Starting Monday, we've got the first phase of transition back into a more normal business environment. We're going to take the next probably month or so to transition into a full staffing, physical staffing at our city facilities. But in terms of physically here through this process, we probably have anywhere between 60 to 75% of our staff actually reporting, working. It's just been this customer service contact areas that we pulled back on and we made modifications to. But what you'll see starting July the 6th is we're reopening City Hall in this first step to walk-in traffic. So we'll be open Monday through Thursday from 8 to noon. So people can walk in, get utility bills. They've got that opportunity. They need to come in and take care of other businesses. They've got that opportunity. There are some social distancing measures that we'll be complied with, face masks. We'll have the spaces set up on the floor so people want to stand safely on those types of things. Other non-immediate needs to take care of customer service needs are things that we'll schedule in advance, and we'll still move towards doing online, Zoom, or other virtual meetings, and try to refrain from doing face-to-face meetings as much as possible. In terms of major city projects, we continue to work on all the things that we needed to take care of the city now and on in the future. Wastewater treatment plant, our 23 miles line is complete. We are finalizing the details for our permit to connect to the Orange County Sanitation District, where our line is going to go. So we're in the final phases of that. The wastewater treatment plant is nearing completion, brand new plant. We expect to be running flow through that plant here in July. We are getting our final permit from Regional Water Quality Control Board to get our new plant launched as soon as possible. Road maintenance. We've got our first, probably our first ever major road maintenance effort completed. So if you've driven around town, you've seen where we've done some work, some major maintenance. In addition to that, you probably noticed that we've reconstructed Beaumont Avenue, full width reconstruction from I-10, all the way up to the city limit lines. The county did help us with the northern portion of that. We appreciated that. With some reconstruction with some chip seal overlay. So that was very critical. We have in our CIP a next round. So we've got an annualized program that we'll be seeing us take care of more streets. So our primary concentration will be Central City, where our streets are in the worst shape and have had the longest period of time without maintenance. So you'll continue to see activities in the Central, but also some other extended areas. Traffic signals, we've got annual funds scheduled
evaluate and make modifications to traffic signals. Our top two priorities, number one is First Street and Highway 79. We need protected left turns there for traffic that's traveling east and west. With the new fiscal year kicking off July 1, we'll be reaching out to our traffic consultants, and they will be begin the process of doing the warm studies for that. Once we complete that, the next one will be looking at protected left turns at Pennsylvania 6th Street. In terms of active road projects, Pennsylvania Avenue is one that's scheduled for widening and signalization. It'll go in improvements from 6th Street down to 1st Street. The final engineering and bid documents should be completed by the end of this summer. We plan to be out for bidding and construction in this fall of this year. Probably fiscal construction to commence probably January 2021. And that construction is probably going to take probably 6 to 8 months to complete the work. So we'll appreciate everybody's patience. And everybody was truly included when you're happy to see that happen. With that, City Council has also scheduled the extension of 2nd Street to extend and connect to Ventura. So it's completed, then we'll get 2nd Street done. We're scheduled for construction on that in 2021. Design engine or the environmental design is underway on that extension right now. And then finally, Ventura and Highway 60. We've got design for the next phase, which are the ramps that we need. We're trying to break that into 2 phases. The total ramps, there's 6 ramps there. It's about a $45 million project. We'd like to break that into 2 phases. We think the first phase would be about a $15 million project. We have $16.5 million already allocated for that project in our CTC. We're still seeing positive development activity in the city. San Antonio Village, which is a medical office building project on Highland and 8th Street. The first of the 3 medical towers is nearly ready for occupancy. So we're working with the developer to get that ready. The other 2 towers are ready to go inside with the opening once the widening and signalization projects are completed on Highland Springs Avenue. Parton is actually improving Highland Springs from 8th Street on north to Cherry Valley, or Oak Valley Parkway. So that's working aggressively. 2nd Street Marketplace, we've got many of those businesses that are getting ready to open. The grocery outlet is actually completing their final inspections. They've been released to start stocking, so they'll need to be opening up ASAP. In-N-Out has submitted their request for their final inspections this week, so hopefully we'll get them wrapped up in the next week or 2. The movie theater, you notice the walls are up, roof is going up now. They're still on schedule to be open for Thanksgiving. They want to be ready for the holiday movie release. Planet Fitness has submitted their application for their tenant improvement plans for this week, so they should begin their interior work very soon. And then Raising Cane's they were on a 30-day self-imposed hold once the COVID-19 pandemic hit, so they're running about 30 days behind. So they're in the process of doing their finishing materials on the exterior. So if you drop by, you'll see the brick going up on the building right now. Amazon, the building is complete. They're beginning their initial operations of staffing and stocking here in July. And their plan is to have their full operations in September of this year. So there'll be about 2,000 employees that will be reporting to work there coming up. The first phase is done in July and the full complement by September. And then Hidden Canyon, which is the commercial project for which the major grading's been done, that's a little bit further west of the Amazon building. That property was acquired by the same developer that's done Amazon delivery. He's got some undisclosed prospects for that property that he's talking to us about. We don't know who they are, but that project's entitled for 2.8 million more square feet of commercial and industrial space. So looks like he's planning to try to initiate some construction on his next buildings out there within the next 6 months or so. So we'll see. We'll stay tuned on that and see what's going on. We still have positive growth happening on the residential side. However, it is significantly slower. We're forecasting 250 new home permits for this year. Typical year's been running about 500. But yeah, we'll continue to monitor and watch. We are prepared for a slowdown with a multi-year recessionary recovery time period of that. So if history remains true to our current environment, we would see about a 2-year slowdown and then about a 2-year ramp back up to get back to normal. So overall, I'd say that we're seeing positive, if not limited, growth over the next several years. We are forecasting or expecting slowdowns. There were some that were due to happen just to natural economic trends in history. Of course, COVID has accelerated that and deepened some of that, we think, but we'll continue to watch. One critical thing for us is to make sure that our community is balanced from a quality of life as well as from a fiscal basis. We have an economic development strategic plan which lays out some guidelines on what we need to do to maintain the appropriate balances. We're now moving into implementation of that. City Council authorized us to begin to initiate a retail recruitment strategy for the community. So over the next several months, we'll get ramped up to get that process going. What we want to do is identify those retailers who are appropriate to our community, and then we want to aggressively go after those who are not here. We also want to understand what has changed in the retail economy. So we'll be using some consultants to help us identify those needs and those trends that are happening. Our primary job growth, we expect to continue. That is obviously a critical driver for the community. With that, one of the things that we started under Mayor Santos was an outreach to business community, talk about what their needs are. One of the things that we identified was job recruitment. So there are jobs available in Beaumont, but finding people to fill those jobs has been an issue. So we'll continue to work with our partners. I know the Chamber's got a good program to try to help assist and link businesses to employees in the community as well. So those are critical things that we need to work harder on, particularly as we add more and more jobs and more to our area. So with the existing and projected growth, we'll see some positive impacts to our city revenues. However, our forecasts show that those revenues are not growing at a pace to keep up with the levels of service that people want and that we need. So we'll do a lot of work over the next couple of years to try to find those balances and figure out how we can best accomplish those. COVID has shown us ways to use technology to be more efficient and effective in some of our work. So I think that will be a major benefit for us moving forward. And then we'll continue to work on our core infrastructure. We're working, for example, with the Beaumont Trevally Water District to come up with a contract and agreement for the reuse of our recycled water. So the wastewater out of the sewer plant, we recycle. It can be available for irrigation and well water. So we're continuing to work with them on those things. And again, all the other things that we're working on, major roadways, parks improvements, street maintenance, all those types of things that are critical to keeping our community a desirable place to be. So that concludes my comments for you this morning.
Thank you. We will now go over to our questions. So while you are with us, Todd, I will have you go first. So we'll check first our chat. We have a question from Lynn Baldy. When do you plan to completely open City Hall with precautions, of course? I think you addressed this just a little bit earlier.
Yes, so our opening, our first one will open on July 6th. It will be Monday through Thursday from 8 to noon. And then as customer traffic picks up, they will monitor. So as there's more demands and more need for walk-up capacity, then we'll continue to open, extend our hours as we need to.
Perfect. And I have a second question here for you. Are there any plans to adjust the traffic signal timings on Highland Springs to promote smooth movement at the freeway?
Yes, we are working on an agreement with Banning and with Caltrans to develop a agreement on how to maintain and monitor those lights. So they have been problematic over the last couple of weeks in terms of some of the timing issues. So that's a critical issue that is going to take all three of us working together to address.
Excellent. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Thank you so much for a significant update on our city and for the things that are going on at this time.
No, and I appreciate this opportunity. This is a great program, and I greatly appreciate you making this happen. And I think Councilman Laura forgot to compliment me on my orange and blue this morning, so I think that was just an oversight. So.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy traveling schedule to speak with us. We have questions as well for Jeff. Jeff, are you able to jump on here? Okay, I'm not able to hear you. Just a moment.
There we go. Yeah. You have the ability to, I don't think I'm in a position where I can unmute myself on this particular one. So go ahead. Sure.
That's all right. Thank you. We have a question here that was submitted. Can you address the pending Caltrans plans for Highland Springs and Pennsylvania off-ramps?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that actually is a Caltrans question, but I'll tell you what I know about it. Obviously, Highland Springs has been one of the most impacted intersections in the entire 5th District, if not the whole county. And as we grow, obviously, your city, Beaumont, is bringing in so much welcome and needed commercial, filling in a lot across from Home Depot and Walmart and such like that. And then, of course, Banning has all of Sun Lakes there on that side. And then all the way up the other side, Banning now is beginning to build all those party homes. So it's just going to get worse and worse there. I think the temporary fix that they're talking about getting that's going to help. Anything's going to help in getting those lights a little bit better synchronized. But at the end of the day, that's going to be an entire remake on that intersection. And I know that is one of the main intersections on the TUMP program. RCTC has identified it as one of the main ones. Pennsylvania is a much smaller fix in the sense that it's just adding another on-ramp and off-ramp. There'll be other issues with Pennsylvania because we do have so many really long and slow trains that come through Beaumont. Not having until it has a grade separation, then that'll still have some queuing issues. But if we can, I believe Pennsylvania may get done certainly sooner, and that will alleviate some of the pressure on Highland Springs. And also, there's something else that'll help. We expect to extend Sun Lakes Boulevard down to westward in Banning. And what that does too, it allows a lot of people that don't want to go through that really impacted interchange to go on to, say Sunset or whatever, some other much less traveled intersections. So that's, from my county end of it, that's pretty much what I know. I do know that Highland Springs is number one, and but it's not going to be an easy fix. Remember, we're going to be realigning those other streets that are too close right along the freeway, and we have to keep it open while we're doing things. So that I look forward to it, and hopefully most of us will still be alive when it gets done.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. In the chat as well, I can direct you to read. Cheryl Donahue has some additional insight on this question. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with?
No, you know, it's, again, Beaumont has had, you guys that keep growing and growing. I think you and Menifee are two of the most, two of the fastest growing cities in the state still. And that's exciting. And I think you guys are doing a lot of things just right to accommodate that. It's neat to get, you've got a lot of good new housing developments, and you've got, you know, business coming in on an industrial and a retail commercial. These things are going to really, really make Beaumont a real player, not only in the past, but certainly in Southern California. I would also like to tag on to something that Todd said. Right now, 40% of all the cases in Riverside County are coming out of District 4, which is Coachella Valley. And he's right. I believe District 5 is either, we may be second in new cases to District 3 with Temecula and Murrieta, whatever. But there's some issues in Coachella Valley because of the high percentage of agricultural workers, service workers that couldn't stay at home or shut down or whatever. And we're looking at ethnic trends. And it turns out that Latinos tend to get the virus a lot more than any other. Well, Native Americans, I believe, are the worst. But their fatality rate is much lower. So it's kind of a bad thing that you get it, but it's a better thing that the fatality rate is not as high. So, but that's right. We've been fortunate here in some of the things we've done. I think may have added to that. But again, all I can do is say, show respect, do what you think is right. Don't get in a hassle with somebody that doesn't agree with you on anything. And we'll get through this all together. And I think there's really some good times ahead. So I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk with the chamber. And hopefully very soon we'll see each other in person. All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hewitt.
Thank you.
We have some questions for Sean.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Our first question, what is the police department's policy regarding private fireworks here in the city?
Yeah, good question. So there's really no such thing as private fireworks because everybody lights them off publicly, and even your front or backyard is subject to the Beaumont Municipal Code. And in the city of Beaumont, we do have a total ban on fireworks, even if they're safe and sane. And so if we do find somebody lighting those off or in possession of them, I have directed my officers to cite. There's always discretion, but in this case, because of the large volume of calls pertaining to fireworks this year, more likely than not, somebody will be issued a citation if they're lighting them or in possession of them in the city.
Thank you. I have a second question. As a citizen who supports the police department, how can we show that to support to the police department?
Well, always being a contributing member to this community, whether it's mentoring youth, coaching, being active in your community in one positive form or another, whether it be the chamber or the Boys and Girls Club, or you can see where I keep drawing back to the youth. One of the areas that I think I've been the most active in has been with our youth sports and our at-risk youth. I think it starts there. I think when we can reach young people early, when they're on that, hopefully even before, but when they're at that point in their life where they're going to decide what behaviors they want to participate in, where do they want to spend their free time, all of us need to be reaching out, right? It takes a community to raise a child, or a village, they say, to raise a child. It couldn't be more true. I was sharing with a group the other day. So many of your kids know me probably as coach as much as they might know me as chief. It's something that tickles me. I love that. But you could also, if you wanted to show your support, let's say specifically to the police department, a wave, a card. We hang up our cards. We share emails with the staff. We love it. It's a cyclical relationship in the sense that, my job is to certainly take care of my employees. And if I do that properly, they're going to take care of the community. And as they're doing that and the community responds in kind, a good gesture is contagious. It just feeds. We feed off of one another for our positive energy. There's a saying that I have right now that for Beaumont, it's my hope that Beaumont residents are known more for what we agree on than what we disagree on. And I think we are. I think this is a great place. And like I said, it's just positive energy that keeps feeding the other part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any closing remarks that you have to share with us?
Well, I did want to answer a question I saw that Phil Southard had posted. He had asked specifically about crime rates during COVID. If you'd like me to answer that, Sterling.
Yes, please. I'm sorry I missed that.
No problem. And so it was very unique when I look at the crime stats from March to April. March was, we were really getting into the lockdown and removing students from schools and keeping them at home, and people were home. And that, I think even the criminal element didn't know what to make about going out. And so we saw a dramatic decrease going from February into March. And so we look at March. Now keep in mind, I don't get March crime stats until about April 10th. And I won't get April's till May 10th, which I have that, but I do not have June's yet because I won't get those till about July 8th or 10th. But things really decreased going from March to April, except for calls for service. And then, but what was interesting is once people got comfortable with COVID-19 during April, the April to May stats started going back up. And so as people went back into the workplace, burglaries, some auto thefts started increasing. And our calls for service jumped dramatically to about, so we handled, to give you an idea, 2,078 calls for service in just April. But in May, we handled 2,400 calls for service. So the weather's going to pick up. It's going to be warmer in the evenings. People are going to be out, and the police department's going to be much more busy. And so you'll see probably my prediction in June, July, August, being a warm summer already. We're going to be very busy. We'll be very busy. But overall, still very safe. I want to give you a number. So in the month of May, we had 9 burglaries. That's 9 out of 14,000 residential units in this city. So still doing very good. Your officers were very proactive. And so even though I had asked them to not be as proactive during those COVID stretches, I just assure you, your officers were very safe, but they were very busy. We've disrupted some major crime elements that try to get in here. We stayed very proactive, dismantled some organized crime elements. But we had 1 robbery in the month of May, just 1. And so, we're proud of those numbers. And 21 stolen vehicles in the month of May. So again, think of all those cars parked on the streets and 40-some square miles of Beaumont for only 21 cars to be stolen. We're very proud of that. We wish it was 0. We wish we were out of a job. We go do something else. They're all talented young men and women that serve you. They can go do something else, but unfortunately, our reality is we need a police department to partner with you all to help keep you safe. And so my final comment is, again, just know that we continue to hire the brightest and the most dedicated public servants that we can find. We screen them. I personally screen every single applicant for every position in this department. If I can't have a conversation with them, then I assume you can't either, and we just don't need them here. We look to continue to diversify this police department. We have made great strides in having and recruiting women law enforcers. We recruit from the Hispanic community, the African American community, the LGBTQ community, and so we've been hiring and promoting a diversified police department that I think statistically represents our community demographics appropriately, but we don't rest on that. Again, know first that when we recruit, we look for people who have a heart for public service. But then we go beyond that and we look for people who represent these community members, but still having a heart for public service. And so just know that your police department represents you well, is diversified, and they're public servants first and foremost. And I thank you again.
Thank you so much. We have had in the chat as well a lot of expression to thank you to your leadership, Chief, and for being there for us and for the community. We are grateful to have had you speak with us. I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
We are so grateful for everybody that has come to this event. We are so grateful to have heard from our community leaders. We have had a financial update. We have had COVID updates. We've had community, city updates. We are so grateful for everything that has been said and for everyone who has tuned in. Again, I'm Sterling Fenn. I'm here at the Chamber. We hope to have more events coming up soon. We are still doing our very best to hold our July 10th Good Morning Beaumont breakfast. We will be receiving more COVID-19 instructions the end of this month. And so that it's possible that the event may be postponed, but we are still hoping and working hard that that can be performed as usual with the appropriate measures. I just want to thank you all so much for joining us and for being a part of this meeting today. We hope that you've enjoyed hearing from our community leaders and want you to know that this event is an expression of our commitment to our community, and we're grateful for your presence with us today. Thank you so much, everybody.